Good morning, everyone. This is Kathleen from Be Again Books, and I'm diving into the lush world of boho fabrics and how they can create really stunning textured elements that embody the free-spirited boho style. You've all seen journal makers add fabric ruffles to the edges of pages, and I have a couple of these for this journal, but I also have 3 other fabric elements to share with you today. Let's talk first, though, about fabrics. So if you are following along with me, you will need the loveliest fabrics, laces, and trims that you have in your stash. Don't worry too much about matching anything, because boho style is all about embracing the unexpected and interesting. Beautifully chaotic is completely okay for bohemian style junk journals. So let's start today with what I'm calling an insertion lace pocket. Let me clear this off and we'll be ready to go. Let's start by selecting a piece of insertion lace. Insertion lace is a type of lace with 2 mostly straight sides that is inserted into a garment and becomes part of the fabric. So a seamstress stitches the lace to either side of 2 fabric panels to connect the pieces and add width to the fabric and interest to the garment. It's almost always used in an heirloom sewing project, but we're going to do that today with paper to make an interesting pocket for the journal. I love this lace. I've had it in my stash for a long time, but it's very saturated, and so that makes it perfect for boho. I don't make boho very often, so largely it sits in my stash, but we're going to use it today. So let me cut a piece off, and this is going to be a pocket in the center of this last signature, and I'm going to use this pretty dark blue printed paper, but I need to cut it in half because that's what makes the insertion. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, so now we have 2 equal strips, and we're going to use this. Now this is technically not an insertion lace, so you can see that it's not the same on both sides, but that's okay. It's near enough that it's going to accomplish the same purpose. So I just want to put a really narrow bead of glue along this top piece here on the bottom. And then we'll just put this just over the edge. And we're going to make sure that it's straight right along that edge. So that you can see what I'm doing, you can see that there is just a little bit of an edge on that lace, and I'm just trying to make it straight right along that edge. That's so that it will lay flat and be even. Okay, great. And then now we're going to turn it over, and I'm just going to put this top along that edge. So that it's glued the same on this side too. So I'm going to put the glue just right along here, and then we'll come back now we'll come back and make sure that that's straight. Okay, and we'll trim the sides now. And now we can add it to the page. if you do one side first, then you can come back and do this other side. Okay, so now you see one of the problems is when it's folded flat, then it doesn't lay flat this way. So I'm going to, while the glue is still wet, I'm going to fold it the other way. And then kind of even it out. Okay, so that's ready now to go in this signature, in this the center signature. So now I can sew this signature into the journal. Hey, I'm back, and this is what it looks like. I'm pretty happy with that. So at this point, we can do some other decorating if we want. We could put a flower on the edge, or a little cluster of some kind. I have made a little index card, just a little journal card, and I've just smushed it, hand dyed it with some distress ink, and then just pasted some paper and fabric flowers here with a little bit of doodling, and that just goes now inside the pocket. So one of the problems with this insertion kind of pocket is then it creates a barrier right here underneath that. So the ephemera is not going to slide easily because it's going to get caught right here. But I think this pocket is cute enough that I think it's worth having to take an extra minute, you know, just to be careful getting the card in. Okay, so let's go on to the second one. I'll come back and decorate this later. The second boho journal element I want to share is the fabric snippet. And as I mentioned, you know, we have these kinds of ruffles that we can put on the edges of the center of the signatures. And this is not a new idea, okay? Lots of people on YouTube make these. I just wanted to show what a perfect element it is for a boho journal, okay? So I'm going to do my snippets just on a regular ribbon. You can use, there's all kinds of things you can use, but the most important thing you need is a foundation fabric of some kind. This is kind of more of a canvas kind of fabric, but it's very rich looking, very saturated in color. And then we all have these little boxes or baskets of little snips of things that we're no longer using, right? So here's another, this is, I think, a bias tape. Anyway, I just kind of went through. I have a drawer full of this kind of thing. And I just want to pick out colors that match the journal. So, and there's little pieces of fiber that would be pretty on there. This is a little piece of, I'm not sure what it is, one of those onion bags or something, veggie bags. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of pieces. I want some lace, so that's kind of There, that's a good piece. That's a good piece. That's a good piece. That's a good piece. Oh, here, this is good. This is interesting. Let's use some of that. Let's use that. Okay, choose what you want to use. You can choose, as I say, the colors that blend, or you can just be scrappy and not worry about it. And you can sew it on. This I did with the sewing machine, but this one I'm just going to do glue so that you can see that it doesn't matter. Either will work. The sewing adds kind of another layer of texture, but if you don't want to sew, that's okay. So let's just, and you know, even the colors can be, so you can still do tucks even with the glue. You just, yeah, put it on there. And if the glue comes through, like the glue is going to show through on this is a thin silk, then I can just come back and put a little decorative something over that and it will be okay. Or I could cover it up this way. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll just put another dab of glue there and put this little piece right over the top to cover that up. And you know, it doesn't have to be completely glued down. It can be glued in strategic places. All right, now let's put maybe we'll wait on that. Let's get another couple pieces down. No, actually I'm going to put it down now. You just need to be a little bit careful with the amount of glue so that it doesn't, so the glue is not too oozy, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we'll just put this one here. This might be interesting. This would be better if I were sewing, but let's see if we can get it on there. And as I did on this one of the ways you can kind of fold it or ruffle a piece on here is just to use a brad. One of those little tiny brads here. Can you see that? Yeah. And I'm just going to poke that through all the layers, pinch it out on the back. And then glue that down. And now what? Let's glue this down and that will hold this other part. This is some beautiful vintage, maybe even antique, hand crocheted, I can tell, because I crochet this kind of lace. But this is really fine thread, and I really don't know how people like my grandmother used to use thread that small, but it's amazing to me. Okay, now that holds that down just fine now. Okay, and now we need to just kind of keep putting some stuff on. And sometimes with something like this, you can put that on and then come back and put something kind of on top of it, and it will look, it won't look so straight. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Let's put some of this on there. We'll just kind of wrap it, and then we'll put something on top of that to kind of glue that down. Yeah, I like that. All right, let me go in and put some glue back here. I could take a stitch with a needle and thread, or I can use the stapler. So I think I'll do that. I like that, and I can make sure, let's see, here's my stapler. I can make sure that stays on just with a big staple. This is kind of like collage. Even though this is like my favorite lace, I can't worry about that getting covered up. If you know what I mean. You just can't worry about it. Let's put a little string of pearls. I'll just cut off 3 to cover that staple. Okay, that's finished. I like it. That's good. And this is also good. If I were to use this one, I need to trim it down just a little. So let's trim that top off so that it goes just above, and then we'll trim these down as well. There, that's good. Okay, let me put this stuff back and we'll add that. So when I was putting stuff away, I found this baby rickrack in just the right color, and I decided to add that over the top of the zigzag stitch, and we'll just now glue that on to the side of this center signature. And you need to get enough glue to hold it. This is kind of a heavy, element, so it needs to be secure on the page. And I'm not putting it over the page. I kind of want to see that pink on either side. So I'm just gonna add it right there. Make sure it's straight. Okay. I like that. And, these can be used for more than just on the edge of a page. It can be used even as a belly band or to hold other elements in place. So, let's see where we want to put this one. It has to go on a page that is heavy enough. The paper is heavy enough to hold it. There, I like that. So the third element I have today is an embossed fabric pocket. To make this pocket, you need a very thin, plain patterned fabric. So this is just almost, it's like a gauze. It's very thin cotton fabric, and it isn't completely plain, but I think it's thin enough and kind of plain that it's going to work. The other thing you're going to need besides the fabric is a piece of thin card and your embossing folder and the embossing machine. Also, we're going to use Mod Podge on this. So we're first going to glue the fabric to the card. Now, I'm going to use glue and then let it dry. If you don't want to wait, or if you want it to be really easy, you can use a product called Heat and Bond. It's an iron-on adhesive, and it puts two pieces of fabric together, or paper. But it's expensive. I use it often on my covers, fabric covers, but I don't want to use it on something as simple as this, where glue will do. So I have sanded the printing off of this card. I'm just going to put Mod Podge on. I'm going to put kind of a thin coat. You don't want to, over glue, because the glue is going to seep through a little bit, probably. So if you have a beautiful plain fabric, then that might be a reason to use the Heat and Bond, because then you don't have to worry about fabric at all. I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to put this down on the fabric. And you can kind of still see that print through there, but you won't be able to once we emboss it, so I'm not worried about it. And besides, this is a junk journal. So now that's going to take time to dry, because you need it to dry completely before putting it through the embossing machine. So I'm just going to go ahead and dry this. I'm going to use my hairdryer, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and now I'm going to fold the edges in and just glue the edges in so that I have a clean edge. Let me just trim and miter these corners. That's pretty rough. Now these will go back in my little box over here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I am a perfectionist by nature, so I want, crisp corners, but to be honest, sometimes things look a little better when they're not exactly neat. So the fact that that's a little wonky, I'm gonna let it go. Okay, now we have the edges glued, and now we can put it in the embosser. So we'll put that, and I'm going to make sure that things are lined up straight. I want a deep emboss. Yes, that's going to be better, I think. All right, let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I like it. Can you see it? I hope you can. It doesn't show up very good on camera. And that's partially because this is not a plain print. Remember, I kind of wanted to use this, this particular fabric, which makes it a little hard to see the emboss on camera. But I can see it and I can feel it, and let's find a place for it in the journal. Maybe it would look good on the other side of this. I don't think so. But maybe on the back. I kind of think that layer's really nice. this blue and that blue. Yeah, let's put it there. I like that. Or what else have we got? Let's bring our little tray over here of little doodads. I like that green. Or there's this. Oh yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, here we go. Let's make this into kind of a let's get the stapler. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna like this. Fabric just adds such wonderful texture, and I just love journals that are somewhat textural. I just do. I think it just really adds something unique to the journal. And this was in a Halloween packet of some kind, and I just put it with the boho because, you know, yeah, I like this. This is a Dollar Tree. It's a little piece of, I think I'm gonna need my tweezers for this. Yeah, there we go. Let's pull that off. My fingers have glue on it now, and that makes it kind of hard to do anything. Now this needs to go on straight. There we go. Yep, I do. Okay, I like that. I hope you can see that embossing, but whoever gets this journal will certainly see it, and I think it's beautiful. So there you have it. 3 creative ways to use beautiful fabrics in your boho junk journal. So each of these techniques, from the embossed fabric to the fabric snippet strip and this insertion lace pocket, they all bring their own unique texture and charm to the journal. And each one, I want to remind you, can be adapted and used with other styles. They would be beautiful in any style journal. Thanks for spending time with me today. If you found this video useful, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and maybe even tell me which element you plan to use in your own project. I'll see you next time with some mixed media fun.